Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable, Honorable Chief Guest, Minister of Industry, Commerce and Employment, Limbunamge Doji, Excellency Dasho Sonam Tobge, Ambassador of Bhutan to Australia, Madam Kali Patridge, Minister Councillor of the Australian High Commission, distinguished guests, online viewers, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to the third Australia-Bhutan Research Conference on the theme Bridging Research, Innovation and Policy, Harnessing the Power of Research, organized by the Royal University of Bhutan in partnership with the Royal Bhutanese Embassy in Canberra, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and External Trade, Royal Government of Bhutan, and funded by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade of the Australian Government. The conference brings together researchers, academics, thought leaders, and policymakers from Bhutan, Australia, and around the world to discuss and co-create ideas which will be discussed and shared through the keynote addresses, paper discussions, poster presentations, and fireside conversations. I am Sring Chodin, and my colleague Tenzin Chodin Lekpil from the Royal University of Bhutan will be the MCs for this 3-day conference. To open the event and proceed with the program at hand, we now invite Dashu Thong Rinzin, Vice Chancellor of the Royal University of Bhutan, to deliver the welcome address. Dashu.
Honorable Chief Guest Limpunam Gidoji, the Minister for Industry, Commerce and Employment, Honorable Secretaries from the Royal Government of Bhutan, Honorable Ambassador of Bhutan to Australia, Dashusunam Tobge, Ms. Kali Patridge from the Australian High Commission in New Delhi, representatives from the Government of Australia, distinguished guests, research and scholars from Australia, Bhutan and beyond, staff, students and colleagues from the Royal University of Bhutan, honored participants and all our online viewers. Good morning and a very warm welcome to each one of you. It's a profound honor to welcome you to the Royal University of Bhutan for the inaugural session of the third Australia-Bhutan Research Conference, ABRC 2025. As the Vice Chancellor of the Royal University of Bhutan and co-organizer of this conference, I am delighted that our university has the privilege of hosting this very important conference. We are deeply grateful to the Royal Bhutanese Embassy in Canberra and the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Government of Australia, for their steadfast partnership and generous support in making this conference possible. This year's conference is especially meaningful as it is dedicated to the 70th birth anniversary of His Majesty the Fourth Gyalpo, the father of the nation and the founder of our university. His Majesty's visionary leadership has shaped modern Bhutan, inspired generations of Bhutanese, and guided our nation's development journey through compassion, balance, sustainability, and holistic well-being. As we come together over the next 3 days, we celebrate not only academic and research collaboration, but also this profound legacy of wisdom, service, and extraordinary leadership. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Australia-Bhutan Research Conference comes at a critical time when the world is seeking new ways to understand development, sustainability, and the evolution of the human condition. Bhutan's unique development vision, rooted in gross national happiness, and the transformative undertaking of the Gyalpo Mindfulness City offer fertile ground for inquiry, dialogue, and innovation. These initiatives reflect Bhutan's aspiration to find harmony between tradition and modernity and between material progress and inner well-being. The Royal University of Bhutan, as the country's largest higher education institution, recognizes our potential and our responsibility to be at the forefront of Bhutan's national transformation. And strengthening research capacity is at the heart of this mission. We believe that research, when informed by cultural depth and collective wisdom, can powerfully shape institutions, systems, and societies. The ABRC provides exactly such a platform, one that connects Bhutanese scholars in Australia and across the world with academics, policymakers, entrepreneurs, and students here at home. The theme for this year's conference, Bridging Knowledge and Innovation, Harnessing the Power of Research, reflects our shared belief that research is not simply an academic pursuit, but a transformative force. Research helps us make sense of rapid global change, navigate uncertainty, and imagine new possibilities. At this conference, we aim to nurture a research culture that is bold, interdisciplinary, and deeply relevant to Bhutan's development priorities and the ongoing national transformation envisioned by His Majesty the King. Over the next 3 days, we will explore thematic areas that are central to Bhutan's developmental needs and aspirations: innovation in higher education, happiness and well-being, environment and climate change, mindful digital transformation, STEM, and governance and leadership for national transformation. These themes reflect not only our national priorities, but also the pressing global challenges that demand thoughtful, collaborative, and interdisciplinary responses. The Australia-Bhutan Research Conference aspires to be more than an academic gathering. It is a space to reflect on the transformative potential of research collaboration and a platform to elevate Bhutan's emerging research landscape. And it is an invitation to co-create knowledge that serves humanity in meaningful ways. We particularly encourage research that is interdisciplinary, policy relevant, and grounded in the realities of our societies, whether in education, health, environment, governance, technology, or cultural resilience. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that strong research ecosystems are built through strong networks. One of the core objectives of the Australia-Bhutan Research Conference is to create lasting connections among institutions, scholars, and communities. We hope this conference will seed new research partnerships, stimulate joint proposals, and inspire meaningful dialogue that continue well beyond these 3 days. We also aim to strengthen the bridge between academia and policy making, ensuring that research informs development and innovation in ways that are practical, impactful, and forward-looking. On behalf of the Royal University of Bhutan, I extend my deepest appreciation to our co-organizer, the Royal Bhutanese Embassy in Canberra, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Royal Government of Bhutan. The ABRC is a brainchild of Ambassador Dashusanam Tobge, which has received widespread support and commendation for its importance in not only fostering academic collaboration, but for its role in strengthening Bhutan-Australia relations. We are deeply thankful to the Australia government's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade for their constant guidance and generous financial support. As we embark on the third Australia-Bhutan Research Conference, I invite all of us to engage fully with open minds, generous hearts, and a spirit of collaboration. May the ideas exchanged here spark meaningful change. May the relationships built here strengthen our shared future, and may this conference deepen the friendship between Australia and Bhutan for many years to come. For Bhutanese scholars and researchers coming from Australia, welcome home. And I wish you all a very happy reunion with your families and friends. For all our non-Bhutanese participants, we wish you a meaningful and memorable stay in Bhutan. With immense pride and gratitude, I once again welcome all of you to the third Australia-Bhutan Research Conference, and I wish the conference all success. Thank you and Tash Dilel.
Thank you, Dashu, for your inaugural opening and very insightful remarks on research relevance and ecosystem and for the dedication of the event. Following this, we invite Excellency Dashu Sonam Topke, Ambassador of Bhutan to Australia, to give the address. Excellency.
His Excellency Lembunam Yudoji, the Honorable Minister for Industry, Commerce and Employment, Honorable Dashos, Ms. Carly Petridge, Minister Council, and her colleagues from the Australian High Commission in New Delhi, distinguished participants and guests, ladies and gentlemen. We are honored that the Honorable Minister, who is coincidentally an alumnus of the Australian National University, is gracing the opening of our conference. We are honored that the Honourable Minister presence here is a clear reflection of the importance the government places on education, research and Bhutan's relations with Australia. After establishing our embassy in Canberra and engaging with Bhutanese scholars across Australian universities, we discovered something remarkable. Many talented Bhutanese academics were excelling in fields such as medicine, biotechnology, agriculture, engineering, and more. Yet, few knew of each other's work. They were working in parallel, brilliant minds, unconnected, unaware of how much stronger they could be together. We did not want that to happen. We met inspiring Bhutanese undertaking impressive research and making meaningful contributions in Australia. Let me share a few examples. A Bhutanese innovator who has discovered novel drug candidates for inflammatory disease that have been patented and now under further development in Australia and the US. A Bhutanese clinician who helped design an innovative device for early diagnosis of retinoneural and brain diseases now used around the world. A serial pathologist and geneticist who advises Australian farmers and agronomists to safeguard Australia's $6 billion grains industry. A mycologist at CSIRO, Australia's leading science agency, researching, among other things, the cultivation of cordyceps, and a researcher developing self-powered wearable devices for use in Bhutan. These achievements make us deeply proud, and they remind us of the immense potential of Bhutanese minds abroad. All of them will be making presentations, though two will do it online. With this realization, we conceive the idea of a platform that could, firstly, bring together Bhutanese scholars in Australia and researchers working on Bhutan, Second, serve as an avenue for brain circulation. Third, support the commercialization of their research. And finally, strengthen people-to-people ties between our two nations. And thus, the Australia-Bhutan Research Conference, ABRC, was born in 2023. The first conference at the University of Sydney and the second at Edith Cowan University in Perth showcased groundbreaking research and built strong collaboration between Bhutanese and Australian scholars. At the Perth conference, Dashutong, then director of the Royal Institute for Governance and Strategic Studies, and I discussed bringing the third edition home to Bhutan for wider engagement between Bhutanese scholars in Australia and Bhutan and with Australian scholars. Subsequently, when Dashu became the Vice Chancellor of RUB, it became the perfect venue for this year's conference. Both of us were also excited that this conference could become part of the commemorations of the 70th birthday of His Majesty the Fourth Drup Gyalpo, who has always placed great importance to our relations with Australia. My deep appreciation therefore goes to Dr. Tsawang and his hard-working team at RUB, especially Pro-Vice Chancellor Dr. Rinchen Doji and Mrs. Sonam Wangmo for their many months of meticulous preparations for this conference. This conference has also been made possible by the generous support of Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and the Australian High Commission in Delhi. Their sponsorship and encouragement reflects the enduring special friendship between our two nations, also making this conference a celebration of Australia-Bhutan relations and a shared commitment to education and research. I therefore thank Ms. Carly Petridge, Minister Councillor of the Australian High Commission, and her colleagues for joining us and for Australia's continued goodwill and support for Bhutan. This year's conference carries special meaning. It connects deeply with the Bhutanese in Australia, a vibrant community of 37,000 people, now our largest diaspora overseas, and an emerging brain bank of highly qualified and skilled Bhutanese. We have PhD scholars, engineers, IT professionals, architects, medical specialists, entrepreneurs, and innovators. And yes, even a Bhutanese helping to build large ships in Tasmania. The growing Bhutanese community contributes meaningfully to Australian society and has become an important foundation of the strong people-to-people ties between our two countries. We take great pride in seeing Bhutanese thrive as valued members of Australia's multicultural fabric. And with their expanding knowledge, experience, and capacity, we see the Bhutanese diaspora as a vital national asset. They love Bhutan deeply. They remain passionate patriots. And this was reinforced by the visit of His Majesty the King to Australia last year. His Majesty's inspiring royal addresses touch the hearts and minds of every Bhutanese in Australia, and they stand ready to contribute to our nation's development. They are truly our smart citizens abroad. This diverse and talented Bhutanese brain bank is as large as our civil service. We must now find creative and flexible ways to engage them remotely and in person, ensuring their knowledge and experience feeds back into our national priorities. We must do our best to nurture their continued connection to their homeland. And as we build the Gyalpo Mindfulness City envisioned by His Majesty the King, the Bhutanese in Australia will be invaluable contributors and partners. And I'm confident that their skills, exposure, and international networks will contribute significantly in our efforts in nation building and in realizing the vision of the GMC. Education has been the cornerstone of Australia-Bhutan relations. Our ties began with education in 1962 when Ajitashi Doji, who celebrated her 102nd birthday a few months ago, led an all-female delegation to the Colombo Plan meeting in Melbourne. Soon after, Australia became one of the first Western destinations for Bhutanese students. We are deeply grateful to the government and people of Australia for the opportunities given to generations of Bhutanese, including myself, to learn and grow and build our capacity to serve our nation. And to our Bhutanese, Australian and other academics and scholars who have come here from across Bhutan and leading Australian universities, thank you for your interest and enthusiasm and for making this long journey to Thimphu. Your participation is what makes this conference meaningful. Before I conclude, today is also an occasion to honor His late Majesty the Third Druk Gyalpo, whose visionary leadership opened Bhutan to the world, including Australia. And to also honor Ajitashi Doji, the pioneer of our bilateral relationship with Australia, who was rightly recognized with the Honorary Order of Australia for her valuable contributions for nurturing this special relationship with Australia. In closing, I wish this conference great success. May it spark new ideas, strengthen existing ties and forging new collaborations, and renew our commitment to using knowledge in the service of our people and our nation. And may it also reaffirm the enduring special friendship between Bhutan and Australia. Thank you and Tashdele.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for sharing the story of the evolution of ABRC and for your inspiring words and highlighting the significance of research to help nation building in Bhutan and beyond. Next, we invite Madam Kali Patridge, Minister Councillor of the Australian High Commission, New Delhi, to deliver the address. Madam.
Thank you very much. Kuzu Zampola, good morning to all of you. I'd like to begin by acknowledging some of the esteemed guests, His Excellency Limpo Minister Namgyal Dorji, Minister for Industry, Commerce and Employment, Dasho Rinzin, Vice Chancellor of the Royal University of Bhutan, and His Excellency Dasho Sonam Tobgay, Kutap to Australia, Honourable Dashos and other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's wonderful also to have some representatives of the media here today who can share this very special and inaugural Bhutanese event, the third conference, with a wider audience. I said last night to a slightly smaller group, and it echoes very much what's already been said today, that the absolute plank of the relationship between Australia and Bhutan is education and people. The ambassador spoke about a journey to Melbourne in the early 1960s. And after that, there was a very special event where 5 boys from Bhutan arrived on the west coast of Australia in 1969. And those 5 boys were some of the first Bhutanese people to receive scholarships under the Colombo Plan. And among the very first of the hundreds of Bhutanese people who have since taken up their studies in Australia through the Colombo Plan and through the Australia Awards program. I'm sure that's a cohort that's very well represented here amongst our participants today. And throughout the course of the week, I'm sure you'll make more connections with each other. It also includes the ambassador and the chief guest today, a very special company indeed. Talk to you a little about how the Australian government's been involved in this very important cornerstone. Through our Australia Awards program, we've supported over 450 Bhutanese students since 2009. This year we offered 13 scholarships for master's programs. That's an additional place from last year, and I'm very pleased to say that 9 of those were women. In addition, we've supported more than 230 Bhutanese people to participate in short courses, professional development opportunities, enhancing their already fabulous skills to continue to contribute to the future development of Bhutan. Just last month, we had a short course on building capacity in higher education and quality assurance. It was launched by Griffith University through our Australia Awards program. And I see here innovation in education is one of the sessions of the conference. This contribution is really apparent. The significant number of Bhutanese alumni from Australian universities who have gone on to achieve incredible things here in Bhutan, in government, in politics, in the private sector, in civil society, and which is epitomised by the people who sit before me today. It's unmatched anywhere else in the world. But it isn't only the education sector where we have a really special relationship. Through our development cooperation, we're also supporting increased regional economic links and growth. And the primary way we do that is through our South Asia Regional Infrastructure Connectivity Program, which we call SARIC. We're partners with the World Bank and the International Finance Corporation, and we've provided technical assistance to prepare for the Dorjilang Dam project here in Bhutan. I'd really like to congratulate Bhutan on the recently signed agreements between the Druk Green Power Corporation and also Tata Power. We're so delighted and honoured to have played a small role in this bigger project. I'm also really pleased to see that this conference has a session that's talking about Bhutan's hydropower sector. Everything is ultimately connected back to education. Our Australian volunteer program is active. We have volunteers working with partner organisations to support their progress in development objectives. And our strong partnership continues to evolve this existing deep affinity between Australia and Bhutan that other speakers have referenced. So, those women who came to Melbourne and those 5 boys who came to Western Australia started a really important trend that's grown and grown and grown. We're so proud to be home to Bhutan's largest diaspora in the world, and we deeply echo the remarks of the ambassador that the contributions that the Bhutanese diaspora makes to Australia's multicultural society are incredibly significant, meaningful, and recognised by the Australian government. From planting those seeds, we now have a really true blossoming friendship. In 2002, we established formal diplomatic relations, and in 2021, we became one of only a small number of countries in the world to host a Bhutanese mission abroad. We do not take that honour lightly. So, to return to the conference, bridging knowledge, innovation and policy, harnessing the power of research is timely. The Vice-Chancellor in his remarks this morning touched on the disruption and change in the world. We've got misinformation, rapid advances in technology, and the Ambassador spoke about the need for creativity and flexibility. I echo all of those things, and this conference is a real anchor to focusing on them. So, you are the leaders and the change agents in this room. I'm so looking forward to Friday and hearing more about what we've learned, what we've evolved, and the next steps to take forward the research and the translational power of that research to contribute to both our nations. In closing, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude. There's clearly so many people who've worked very hard on this. It's a brainchild of the Ambassador, but there have been so many other people, the Royal University of Bhutan and the staff at the Embassy in Canberra. I look forward to hearing more about your successes and your achievements throughout the course of the week. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you, Madam Carly, for your valuable insights and for reaffirming the strong partnership between our two nations through education and other forms of cooperation, and the full support extended to have this event here in Bhutan. Thank you very much. And now to move on to the very important part, we have Honorable Minister Limbu Namgay Doji, who is our chief guest to deliver the keynote address.
Kuzangpo to all and very good morning. I see, I'm told this is going live. So to all our online viewers and participants who are joining online, it's a real pleasure to join you all here. I, at the outset, would like to acknowledge the presence of all the distinguished guests, in particular honorable members of the parliament, government secretaries, senior officials from government, corporate, private sector, university, researchers, scholars, students, and in particular, Ms. Carly Patrick, you and your colleagues from Australian High Commission. This, in particular, I'm really happy to see this, the third edition of Australia-Bhutan Research Conference happening and taking place here in Bhutan. And on behalf of the Royal Government, I would like to congratulate the Royal University of Bhutan, the Royal Embassy, Royal Bhutanese Embassy in Canberra, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, DFAT, of the Australian Government for their leadership in convening this third edition of ABRC, in particular, Dr. Sewang, Ambassador Sonam Topge, and Ms. Kelly Patridge. Thank you for your dedication and the partnership we see here today. I'd like to especially acknowledge the partnership and contribution of DFAT, Ms. Carly. DFAT's partnership reflects the depth and warmth of Bhutan-Australia relationship. I see, which is a friendship built over decades of trust, capacity building, and shared values. As mentioned by Ambassador, Australia has played an extraordinary role in nurturing Bhutan's human capital. And many Bhutanese, including myself and several others I see in this hall, stand as direct beneficiaries of that generosity and friendship. So thank you. The third edition of this conference, again as highlighted by prior speakers, carries a very special significance as we dedicate it to the 78th birth anniversary of His Majesty 4th Duke Gyalpo. Among His Majesty Myo Duke Jiba's many extraordinary achievements, gross national happiness stands as thus far Bhutan's greatest innovation, a visionary framework that has shaped our national identity and development journey for more than half a decade, for more than half a century. And it continues to guide and inspire Bhutan's development, placing human well-being at the heart of policy. Globally, long before sustainability became the agenda, we all know Bhutan had already made environmental stewardship, cultural preservation, and social equity inseparable pillars of progress. And it is because of this timeless vision that has made possible for us, Bhutan today, to stand proudly as a happy, constitutional democratic monarchy and one of the few carbon negative nations in the world. From the Human Development Index, UNDP's Human Development Index of the 1990s to the MDGs at the turn of the millennium we saw, and now the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and the 2030 Agenda. Global development frameworks have increasingly echoed the same principles that GNH articulated decades ago. The real progress is measured not only by the growth, but by the well-being of people, communities, and the planet. And why I wish to highlight this here is this is an assembly of scholars, researchers, thought leaders. I had in particular wished to share that during my recent engagement in Geneva during the World Trade Conference, I had in particular close interaction with the UN Secretary General's expert working group on the Beyond GDP, who are developing new development metrics that better captures the world's evolving social, economic, and environmental realities. They continue to express deep admiration for the philosophical origin and leadership Bhutan offered through and continues to offer through the GNH. But as always, how this admiration translates into real acknowledgement and influence for Bhutan depends entirely on us, our generation, and this generation of researchers, scholars, and policy leaders. It's incumbent on us to now carry forward this legacy and how we keep GNH central not just to Bhutan's but to the global development agenda. Going beyond 2030, there's a real opportunity, and this kind of gathering only provides us more space and shows the way forward. More than anyone, those of us here today, like I mentioned, understands how this legacy continue to empower positive change beyond Bhutan, the potential it holds. It gives us a uniquely Bhutanese lens for innovation, a proud cultural heritage that enriches our national discourse and adds distinct depth, identity, and imagination to Bhutan's policy landscape. And so this makes this year's ABRC especially timely. We all know it's also comes and occurring at a moment of a profound national transformation underway, inspired and guided by His Majesty the King's unparalleled leadership and wisdom. We are moving decisively towards a knowledge-based economy, a future where ideas, innovation, and talent will define Bhutan's prosperity for far more than what the traditional resources have offered thus far. The ongoing 13th Five-Year Plan, with its 10-year long-term objective of achieving a developed Bhutan and high-income GNH economy by 2034. The 21st Century Economic Roadmap, which is our country's 10x national economic vision, and our evolving industrial development policies all point firmly towards this direction. And all these national frameworks rest on one common foundation: the power of research, data, and foresight, and our collective ability to see opportunities before they become obvious. That is why this conference is not just any other event. It is so very important. Just look at the themes being discussed here: cybersecurity, climate resilience, STEM integration, governance, well-being, education, innovation, and health technologies. These are not only academic curiosities. All the problem statements, the research thinkings, they represent the knowledge foundation of the industries, institutions, and systems Bhutan must now build. And I want to commend the organizers for curating such a well-rounded and relevant set of thematic areas. They capture with remarkable clarity and skills inquiry and innovation Bhutan needs at this moment, and they demonstrate how research can be harnessed to inform policy, inspire new sectors, and guide our national transformation. Therefore, when we look at these 8 thematic areas, we see how closely they mirror our national ambitions that we are forging at this very moment. They capture the essential capabilities required to create future industries, generate meaningful jobs, and build a globally competitive workforce. These knowledge systems, as mentioned before by the Vice Chancellor Ambassador, will go on to play a decisive role in shaping the long-term success of the most critical project of our generation, the Gelefu Mindfulness City, a place where green urban space, digital governance, advanced education, and human-centered innovation must converge seamlessly. In this sense, ABRC is not just a research conference, it is a part of Bhutan's broader transformation, bringing our academia, diaspora, and global partners into the core of our national development journey. We are all so very pleased to see this happen. And more than anything else, this knowledge is absolutely vital for how we will be going forward. For the GMC in particular, we all know, we all have heard the vision of His Majesty, which has been articulated everywhere. We have heard GMC is not simply an economic zone or a special administrative region. It is a vision that challenges us, all of us, to imagine what Bhutan can contribute, not just to ourselves, but to the world in upcoming decades. It demands futuristic thinking, innovation, human-centered design, and world-class standards in governance, technology, environment, culture, and so on and so forth. So for a project of such a scale and ambition, research is not optional. It is fundamental. And let me also emphasize that when I touch on GMC, GMC, by the way, is not just about Gelefu as a physical space, as envisioned by His Majesty the King. GMC has already ignited a nationwide transformation. This is the essence of the Diamond Strategy, aligning the entire nation for the next 2 decades, where we will see our bureaucracy, private sector, and all of our remaining social and economic institutions undergoing paradigm shifts. Every agency and every organization, therefore, will need new capabilities, new ways of thinking, and new forms of collaboration. And building this intellectual depth begins here, with each of us leading and maximizing our own contributions. What I see at an individual level, what would that 10x national economic vision would mean? Magnifying our own contributions in truly a 10x manner. And what makes this 2025, the 3rd edition of ABRC, truly something to celebrate and rejoice is the fact that at a time in Bhutan, all of us, when we are confronted with the biggest challenge, when our thinkings are preoccupied with the thought that out-migration is the existential threat of sorts we are facing, and when we feel the weight of watching highly skilled Bhutanese leave for opportunities abroad, particularly to Australia, this conference, to me and to many of us here, comes as a big relief. And it provides us big sense of reassurance. Why? Because it is a shining example to say that how Bhutanese diaspora remain deeply connected to national development. We know when some countries all over the world worries about brain drain, our experience in particular, when it pertains to our Bhutanese abroad, has shown us that it tells a different story, a totally different story. Our scholars and professionals in Australia, like Ambassador well articulated, remains deeply engaged. They create platforms like ABRC to happen. They collaborate. They mentor from afar. They collaborate with universities, institutions, colleges, agencies, and they not just carry that for their own individual achievements, but they provide the much required network building, institutional linkages that our country needs. So all these will enable us, and then we cherish the fact that this has enabled us to increase, enable us to accelerate the all forms of the transformations that we have embarked upon here. So to the researchers and scholars here, those joining online, particularly who have studied or lived in Australia, you bring back not only qualification, but exposure to a society built on innovation, strong institutions, and most importantly, a country that exhibits strong problem-solving potential. Bhutan needs this combination urgently. The royal government encourages all of you, therefore, to channel your learning into our national priorities, from entrepreneurship, industrial diversification, to policy reform, digital systems, and job creation, all these initiatives that are unfolding here. And to the Royal University of Bhutan, as our largest higher education institutions, you carry a unique responsibilities. Now, when we talk about Royal University of Bhutan, we do have, again, universities like the Kesagyepo University of Medical Sciences, the JSW Law School, and many colleges and institutions and universities under these umbrella. All our colleges and universities are not merely producing graduates. You all are, these institutions are shaping the knowledge backbone of our country. Bhutan will need strong research institutions that can work closely with government ministries, industries, and new initiatives like the GMC to design solutions grounded in evidence and, most importantly, Bhutanese values. So let me also congratulate, as we will be launching the special issue of the Bhutan Journal of Research and Development and the launch of the first issue of Bhutan Insight Journal. These only demonstrate the outcome of ABRC and the close collaboration and engagement within our Bhutanese scholars and researchers in Australia. These initiatives also goes on to reflect a growing academic culture where one not only sees the circulation of research, but these research papers and findings and informing and providing the much required thought leader to guide our decision making. And for a small country like Bhutan, ideas must travel faster than resources, I feel. And these journals and all these research materials help us exactly do that part. So before I conclude, let me emphasize that the value of a conference lies not only in the papers presented, but in the partnership it inspires. I joined the Vice Chancellor of RUB in the upcoming 3 days of this conference, where you have keynote presenters, panel discussions along the 8 thematic areas, fireside chats, informal gatherings. These are all very important and then will provide the much required impetus to see this collaboration go and in fact, churn the intended results. More than important, partnership, network building. We are at a critical point as a nation, and at this moment, Bhutan needs researchers, innovators, thinkers, policymakers who can work together to shape a future that is bold, inclusive, and deeply aligned with our values. And conferences like ABRC are an important part of that journey. With that, I wish this conference great success. May the insights shared here help shape the future of our higher education system, of our industries, and of our national transformation, and guide us all together to work towards a prosperous, a confident, and a future-ready Bhutan. Kadishe and Dashtilela.
Thank you, Honorable Limbo, for your very inspiring keynote that will set the tone for the conference ahead, which is aligned with the ongoing national transformation to create a knowledge-based society and reminding our role as a university to shape innovation and knowledge and to guide transformation that shapes our future. And to announce the next part of the program, today we will launch two significant publications, these being the first, the special edition of the Bhutan Journal of Research and Development, or the BJRD of the Royal University of Bhutan. The special edition of the Bhutan Journal for Research and Development is especially significant as it has selected papers from the proceedings of this ABRC conference, and more importantly is a commemoration of His Majesty the 4th King's 70th birth anniversary. For the launch of the BJRD, or the special edition of the Bhutan Journal for Research and Development, we would like to invite on stage Honorable Limbo, our chief guest, and Ambassador of Bhutan to Australia, Dr. Sonam Topge, to launch the edition on stage. In the next, we have the Bhutan Insight Journal Australia. The launch of the Bhutan Insight Journal Australia is also significant as it marks its first inaugural celebration here in Bhutan. The Bhutan Insight Journal is an outcome of the Australia-Bhutan Research Conference initiated by the Royal Bhutanese Embassy in Canberra, with two iterations organized at the University of Sydney in 2023 and Edith Cowan University in 2024, and its third iteration hosted in Bhutan here at the Royal University of Bhutan. It is a vital platform for scholars, industry professionals, and decision makers to share research, innovative ideas, and practical insights addressing both local and global challenges. For the launch of the Bhutan Insight Journal Australia, we invite on stage Madam Carly Patridge, Minister Councillor, Vice Chancellor Dr. Song Rinzin, and founder of the journal, Dr. Phunso Wandi. Thank you for the launch of the journals, La. The launch of these two journals stand to mark an important milestone in research collaboration and knowledge sharing. They represent far more than publications and are a testament to the strengthening of academic partnerships and the growth of Bhutan's research ecosystem. And now, in the next schedule of our program, we invite everyone for a group photo opportunity, followed by a short tea break. Therefore, we request everyone to kindly assemble at the back of this conference hall, facing the main office building for the photo opportunity. After the photo opportunity, we'll have a short tea break served in the tents outside this very conference hall. And then we request everyone to convene back in the same hall to begin the first thematic session at 11 a.m. onwards on the first thematic session, Cybersecurity and Responsible Digital Engagement. During the tea and lunch breaks, students from our colleges will be performing cultural dances, and we invite you all to enjoy their performances as well. Thank you, and we request everyone to proceed to the photo opportunity.